Throughout this video, I'll be explaining how traditional knowledge of the native plants have helped influence modern medicine within the past 20 years, while looking at the ethical issues which arise from this influence. I'll be using two native plants to help explain the importance of our wildlife and the creation of new medication and drugs. The snakevine Actinosporus milicinia is an Australian native plant which is found throughout north of Coffs Harbour, Queensland, Northern Territory and Western Australia. Snakevine is a climber with a wooded taproot. Its bark is paper thin and the leaves are dark green and triangular in shape. Its fruits are globular, small in size, and are often a red or orange colour. The flowers of the plant are separated by male and female and are pale and green to yellow in colour, with it flowering during the summer months in Australia. Within the Illawarra Territory, Indigenous members would use the vine for treating headaches, rheumatoid arthritis, snake bites and other inflammatory disorders. To receive treatment for headaches, they would use mashed stems and wrap it around their heads. For stings and bites, heated leaves were applied to their head. Larrakia people also use such techniques to help with inflammatory disorders and insect bites, while modern society uses the plant's active ingredients to help relieve arthritis and other inflammatory disorders. Phospholipase A2 is used for inflammatory purposes and helps with the catalyzing of hydrolysis of phospholipids. This helps with the reduction of inflammatory disorders, including inflammatory arthritis in humans, but is also used to counteract certain snake venom and acids, balancing out the pH levels within the blood. Phospholipase enzyme, like the pancreatic and venom enzymes, has 7-disulfide bonds that provide considerable stability and resistance to these acids and venoms. Phospholipase A2 is used in a multitude of drugs. Some include agrelin and pleatal. Lemongrass is shown to be distributed around Western Australia, Northern Territory, South Australia, Queensland and Western New South Wales. Lemongrass can grow to around 0.3 to 0.8 metres in height and width, with wispy seed heads. It is drought and frost tolerant. There is considerable variation within the width and colour of the leaf lamina and the density of the inflorescence within the species. Its colour can vary from light green to yellow, depending on the location of the plant. Research has shown that the tea is good for relieving headaches, migraine and inflammation, and the indigenous also use it for chest infections and skin sores. The Arrernte people collected the fragrant leaves and crushed them to use in a pillow to treat flu symptoms. The leaves and roots are also used in rubbing medicines or boiled and drunk in small quantities to relieve bad colds and flus, while the Budgety people use the leaves to make tea to treat muscle cramps, scabies, skin sores, headaches, fever and respiratory tract infections. Modern society also uses lemongrass's active ingredients for cold and flu symptoms, and as well as being used in local parks and backyards. Acetyl salicylic acid, or ASA, belongs to the group of medications called analgesics, antipyretics, anti-inflammatories, and platelet aggregation inhibitors. It works by interfering with the production of compounds in the body that causes pain, fever, inflammation, and blood clots. It is also used in various conditions such as lower back pain and neck pain, the flu, common cold, burns, menstrual pain, headache, migraines, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, sprains and strains, nerve pain, toothache, muscle pain, and bursitis. This compound is the main active ingredient found in aspirin and Bayer aspirin products. The process of bioharvesting can be defined as the collection of active ingredients found within a native plant which is used for medicinal, cosmetic, or food purposes. This process can help with the production of stronger drugs and help cure certain diseases which currently do not have a cure. However, within Australia, ethical issues can arise as a result of the sudden removal of a rare Australian native plant or the exploitation of Indigenous intellectual property for commercial gain. To help reduce the likelihood of such exploitation, the federal government has put in place a law which restricts pharmaceutical companies from bioharvesting native plants. Companies seeking out to access active ingredients of native plants, such as the snakevine or lemongrass, must ask the local council of the area and any Indigenous community and elders for permission to use the plant for the creation of a new medication. Through the Environmental Law of Australia, plants which are posed as rare or endangered mustn't be harvested from its location. Flora that is found within national parks mustn't be removed, limiting the risk of loss of endangered plants found in a particular area and reducing ethical issues which may arise from the abuse by pharmaceutical companies through the exploitation of human consumerism. Through the use of traditional knowledge of Australian native plants, modern medicine is able to grow to improve the well-being of society with the respect of intellectual property shared by the Indigenous people of Australia.